Hi everybody, it's BethWe in the Koinonia Kitchen, and we're going to talk about making conscious contact. This is the fourth in a podcast series, so if you haven't listened to the other three, don't worry about it. You'll still enjoy this podcast. But there are three others ahead of it, so that might be something you want to look into. Making conscious contact comes out of the 11th step, introduced by Alcoholics Anonymous, and it's a step about prayer and meditation. The way the step reads is sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understood Him, praying only for knowledge of His will for us and the power to carry that out. So as I read that step and tell you the title of the podcast, what's the goal? What's the goal of what we're talking about today? And we really have two things. Our goal today is to share real tools to, number one, maintain our spiritual condition, and number two, create intimate and mindful engagement with the one who has all power. So why do we want to maintain our spiritual condition? In the last podcast, we talked about that. Maintenance of the spiritual condition means we get to live into a new way of life. For some, that might look like sobriety. For someone else, it just might look like peace of mind. Whatever you're using the 12 steps for, maintaining the spiritual condition is key. And there's work to maintain. If you are a homeowner, you know that. Everybody says, oh, great, now you pay your mortgage and you're getting an investment. Yeah, but you don't just pay your mortgage. You got to update things. You got to keep things up. You got to fix things when they break. Maintenance is an integral part of home ownership. And that's what I'm saying now. The higher power wants to live in you. And so the maintenance of your spiritual condition is like keeping up his digs, taking care of where he lives. And that is work related. The work is a little bit different. Prayer and meditation are some of the integral things. But we've talked about other tools. The good news is we've been set up to succeed because step 11 comes after these other 10 steps that radically changed the way we think about ourselves and other people. We've done an exhaustive self-examination, and we had a hard look at the relational issues we have with other people. We know that going into relationship with God, we might carry some of those relational issues. What do I mean by that? Are you a control freak? When you're in your relationships, do you have to be the boss of the situation? Well, that's not going to work in most relationships, and it's not going to work in your relationship with God. But knowing that about yourself coming into this is going to help you, because you're going to know when you're struggling, it might be that. It might be that pattern I learned about myself in step 8. It might be that's slowing me down and making conscious contact with God as I understand Him. So we're going to take the information we've had from those first steps and apply it again. One of the first fruits of meditation is emotional balance. So when we maintain our spiritual condition with prayer and meditation, our emotions don't go up and down like they did before. It's not like an EKG. Don't get me wrong, they're not flat either. It's more like a lasagna noodle. Very comfortable, going up and down a little bit, but all in all, a very balanced emotional life. In the book Alcoholics Anonymous, also called the Big Book, on page 88, there's a quote that I want to read to you. It says, "We are then in much less danger of excitement, fear, anger, worry, self-pity, or foolish decisions." Wow. That is a reward, that we are in much less danger of excitement, fear, anger, worry, self-pity, foolish decisions. This thing is going to be important, this prayer and meditation, this learning how to have conscious contact with the higher power. Some of those jump out at me. The worry. I've had people that I've worked with who said they can't meditate. And I will say to them, "Can you worry?" And they say, "Well, yeah, I worry all the time. And I said, well, that is a form of meditation. You're taking a problem and putting it center stage in your mind and thinking about it all the time. Do that same thing with your higher power, or with something that makes you think of your higher power. Maybe one of the principles behind the 12 steps: honesty, hope, faith, courage, integrity, willingness, humility, brotherly love, self-discipline, perseverance, awareness, love and service. Think on those things the way you think about the thing you're worried about. And the reality is, your mind knows how to do it already. You just have to keep corralling it back to what you want to think about, just like you already know how to do when you worry. The other one that jumps out at me is self-pity. Self-pity, if left unexamined, leads to bitterness. And the root of bitterness in a person goes super deep. It is one of the most difficult character defects to remove. Because once self-pity has moved into anger and then into bitterness, oh boy, it is like trying to pull the root of a tree out. It is changing the whole landscape of your soul. It's changing everything about you. So self-pity, hear it when you say it. When you're feeling sorry for yourself, hear that and make a change. For those of you recovering from alcoholism, they have a saying: the two people that can get me drunk, the poor me and the great I am. That's both you. If you think too much of yourself, or if you're just feeling so sorry for yourself, you're in trouble. So pray and meditate. Use those tools and improve your conscious contact with God. And one of the results will be emotional balance. What are some other results? I want to talk about spiritual grounding. Because we have developed a daily connection to a power greater than ourselves, we are able to grasp a way of life that promotes purposeful living. I mean, some of the promises that they give in 12-step, to be usefully whole, what a great promise. Most people don't even think about the fact that they're unhappy because they're not useful. They might say, I'm lonely, or I'm this, or I'm that, but useful and purposefully whole, these are key phrases. They mean that you're integral to the whole fabric of the social network of the world. I matter. I matter because I am spiritually grounded. I know who I am in God's world, not just in the world that I started in. I know what it is to help another human being. I know what it is to share my experience, strength, and hope, and watch somebody get an understanding they didn't have. Because of our confidence in the spirit realm, and this confidence will grow as you make conscious contact with your higher power, the emotional and material realms become easier to navigate. Do you get that? It's you're doing spiritual workout. But where do you get the benefit? The muscles show up in the emotional and material realms. They become easier to navigate. I think that's an incredible promise. To be spiritually grounded means to make life easier in the physical and emotional world. You know, it's funny, but one of the promises noted in Alcoholics Anonymous, the big book, is that inspiration will gradually become a working part of the mind. On page 86 and 87, it says, we are often surprised at how the right answers come after we've tried this for a while. So let's look at the word inspiration. You know, I'm going to break it up. In means to take in. The S-P-I-R is spirit. It's to take in the spirit and have the spirit tell you what to look at, what to focus on, what to avoid, a direction, a guidance. We've had it. Some of us have had it. Any mothers listening to this, you know when your mother's instinct and somebody's not safe to be around your child. It's not like they have to do something. You sense it and you move the child away from them. That's That's inspiration. That's from a higher source. That is from your connection with creation as a parent. Fathers have it too. When to protect. When to protect. It's okay. Some of us get both of those things where we can become codependent and we can become controlling. So, but in the simplest form, that sense that someone needs to be protected, that goes through a man's heart as a father, that's innate. That is God-given. Well, what if that became a working part of your mind, where you just start to sense who needs a hug and who needs a lecture? You get to sense who's safe to be around with, who's not, who's telling me the truth, who's not. These things happen as you work with spirit, and it's not for judgment. It's not so that you can judge others or compare yourself with them. It's so that you can be a real help to them. This part of the step leads you into the next step, where love and service is a way of life. So that inspiration gradually becoming a working part of the mind is an incredible reward. I think one of the last places I want to talk about is the deeper belonging that comes to us as we make conscious contact with the God of our understanding. In earlier step work, many of us reported a sense of belonging that came after first coming into the rooms and hearing people share about emotions and activities and things that happened to them, and just unashamedly telling us who they are. And as they said what we felt inside but had never voiced, we felt stronger. We felt confident that this place was going to be okay. It was like a form of safety. Belonging means I'm supposed to be there. I'm supposed to be right where I'm at. And as we practice making conscious contact with the higher power, a deeper knowing that we belong often comes strongly as we feel happily and usefully whole. But belong where? Anywhere we are. That separation, that isolation, that egoic sense of the great I am, and I'm different, or I'm unique, or the terminal uniqueness, any of that slips away because we're becoming comfortable in the world as it is, not as we would have it. We're becoming comfortable because we trust the higher power. So the last perk I'm going to give you is get ready, because you're going to be rocketed to the fourth dimension if you do this work. You are going to be rocketed to the fourth dimension. In the big book on page 105, this is a wonderful quote. Almost any experienced AA will tell you how his affairs have taken a remarkable and unexpected turn for the better as he tried to improve his conscious contact with God. He will also report that out of every season of grief or suffering, when the hand of God seemed heavy or even unjust, new lessons for living were learned, new resources of courage were uncovered, and that finally, inescapably, the conviction came that God does move in mysterious ways, his wonders to perform. My friends, I hope you've taken this podcast series to heart and that you've started prayer and meditation in earnest, making it a viable part of your day, a regular part of your life, and hoping to see the fruit that's going to come out of this work that you're doing in the garden of your soul. If you pray and meditate and do that self-examination every day, and you create this unshakable foundation for life, others will come to you for nourishment. Get ready. The higher power will bring others to you and ask you, how do I get what you have? And you'll know the answer. Self-examination, prayer, and meditation. Let God be God, and let me be who he created me to be. And let me accomplish the purpose, and let me enjoy belonging, and let me live one day at a time. Thanks for listening. I hope you're feeling better because you had a listen. Good Seed Podcast is powered by the BethWe nonprofit ministry based in Vero Beach, Florida. Our goal is to start the uncomfortable conversations that turn complacency into action and despair into hope. Connect, communicate, and thrive with us. Check us out online at BethWe.com.